Hey there team, and welcome to a little Helldivers Stratagem tier list. It's been a long time since I've done like a little tier video, and Helldivers has really been making a big impact for me, so I wanted to give it a crack. This will be, of course, based on my own viewpoint, my own enjoyment a lot with these weapons, but I'll touch on that as I make my way through them. But I do also have to stress, well, probably right from the start, there's some of these I really don't have much experience with, so it is going to be based on what I've seen people doing with them. It's like the eagles. I've never taken an eagle. I've never really taken an eagle at all. There is a reason for that though. I'll be long dead before I give them my cruise basketball space. But starting off, we've got the grenade launcher here. Oh, actually, am I missing something? Setup is a bit of a hodgepodge, but we've got at the top there, nice super earth for our super tier. Really something that I'm either really enjoying using or something that I do feel is incredibly effective. 5 stars being pretty damn impressive again, and just working our way down to 1 star being something that I think is either very much in need of some improvement or just something that I personally would never take or I do not think is worthy of taking. At the bottom I've got my little unknown box. I don't really know if anything will make its way into the unknown box, but I just wanted to leave that there as a possibility in case there is something that pops up and I'm not sure where it fits at all, just because I've got no real experience with it. Starting off with the grenade launcher. Wait 1 second. Yeah, no, this is the grenade launcher. This is the autocannon. So autocannon there. I personally don't really use the autocannon that much. I try to sort of steer away from backpack support weapons. I really like to have something else on my back. I know the autocannon does allow you to have quite a few shots before you need to reload, and it can be incredibly effective, and I've seen that. But I don't really personally use it, but because of the effectiveness I've seen from other people, in my team as I've been fighting alongside them, and of course from just various bits that I've learned and seen, I really don't think I can put this any lower than 4 stars. I think that if you do have an autocannon in your team somewhere, they do have an immense amount of power to just rattle out and blast down any of these big things that are coming at you. If you are able to sort of achieve a bit of a squad reload with it, then you can really get some immense damage done, but it doesn't require that. It's one of these, it is definitely a weapon I don't think you need to have a squad reload for, because the reload is relatively quick. And as I say, you do get quite a few shots before you have to reload. The anti-material rifle though, again, from my perspective, because I can't really aim, if you do watch any of my sort of first-person shooter content or anything like that, you can tell I'm not the best when it comes to accuracy, but I love the anti-material rifle. I'm generally using it up against bigger targets, of course, up against primarily the bots, the devastators, and so on. And when this is in the hands of somebody that can really land those shots, I think this is absolutely just the bot killer. I think that a lot of people have gotten like personal orders to get them used a bit, and it's made a big impact on them. I think because you unlock it at such a low level, a lot of people kind of cast it aside in favour of, say, something like the railgun or maybe even the autocannon for say. But I really don't think people should be sleeping on the anti-material rifle. It's if you can sort of reliably line up those shots, and you do have a rapid fire with it. You can click that trigger pretty quick and get a lot of shots pumped out. Now, I didn't expect this to be showing up right away, and it's probably going to be a little bit controversial to some people, but for me, the arc thrower is absolutely super earth tier. I adore it. I find it so much fun to use, and I can, up against the bugs primarily, of course, up against bots, not so much, but up against the bugs, I can sit there with it and cleanse an absolute horde in no time at all. A lot of people do worry about, say, the friendly fire aspect from it, and that is something you do have to practice with, but my advice is generally just treat it like a flamethrower. When you're holding that, position yourself the same as you would if you were holding a flamethrower. Keep in front of your boys, be vigilant around you. Because it's quite an easy weapon to use, you don't have to be accurate with it. It's your own fault if you're really hitting friendlies. You should be spending that spare time looking around you, checking your sight lines and making sure that nobody's moving in front of you and moving in from your flanks to take that fire. So yeah, you're going to get a lot of friendly fire racked up in the start, but once you do get a bit of practice with it, really shouldn't be a big problem. Another big bonus for it, instead of just the swarm killing, is you're not using up ammunition. You're never having to reload, and you're not using up ammo. It means that you're never having to really pick up those supply packs. The only thing I'm picking them up for is stims. But that means that the really ammo-hungry guys that are using the rail guns or the autocannons and so on and bringing down those big creatures means that they can focus on that. They can be grabbing as much ammunition as they need because you're not really needing it. You're not dragging it in, dragging it away from them. So all in all, it's just super. I really love the arc thrower. Yeah, and just perfect S tier for me. Autocannon sentry. I've actually moved away from them a bit now. Now that I've been fighting a lot more bots than bugs, I've been moving away from the sentries. When I first started playing Helldivers, I was a sentry man. It was the first thing that I fully upgraded. Was the first system in my Super Destroyer that I fully upgraded. I still use them a bit, but just certainly not as much as I used to. But the one turret that I do make a lot of use of is the autocannon sentry. And I mean, for now, I'm tempted to actually maybe pop it into super tier, but I mean, as far as sentries go, I think I very well might. Yeah, for me, I think I would pop that into the super earth tier. I think that with that autocannon, the accuracy, of course, that you get from a sentry, the rapid fire and the constant fire that you get from the autocannon sentry it's phenomenal, really. Of course, I guess the main issue that I tend to find with it is that it is going to be wasting a lot of ammunition on things like dropships, on things like heavy laser turrets from the enemy, from the bots again, and really just blasting shots off at things that it can't really quickly deal with, using up a lot of its ammunition that way, and also not targeting the things that are going to be killing it or killing you. Apart from that, though, I really don't find any sort of fault with the autocannon sentry, and I think as far as sentries go, as I say, it's my favourite, so I think it's got to go into the super tier. Any last things to say about it? There's one thing that I will probably touch on about the other sentries, so I might as well just say it now. I think my dream for sentries, one of my friends brought this up, was just, it would be amazing if the sentries had a little laser on the top of them. Something just to show you where the sentry was aiming. Because sometimes when you're in a bit of a tense situation, it's spinning around, you're not really sure where it's shooting at, and suddenly you're in its line of fire. So if I saw this little red laser or green laser, same as the Defender, just coming over my shoulder, I would know, autocannon switched over to my direction, I'm going to hit the dirt. So that's my only sort of issue with sentries, but all in all, as I say, love the autocannon sentry. Ballistic shield, again, something that is a bit of I suppose like I don't think a controversy, but I really enjoy using the ballistic shield, and that's lifting it up to sort of 4 stars for me. It certainly is not exceptionally effective. I think you're much better off using the bubble shield, but it's a lot of fun to use. I think it looks awesome. I'm a big fan of the Defender. When I'm shooting at bots, I do tend to take the Defender anyway, so it's a nice thing just to have in my left hand. I think killing the ballistic shield right now is of course the bug. Right now, if I'm picking up any sort of sample, I hit a T-pose, I put it on my back and I'm getting shot in the face. If I use a stim, I'm hitting a T-pose. I'm hoping that gets patched soon, but for now, it still is a lot of fun to use. I don't see it ever moving above 4 stars though, just because of the limitations of it, and also the big issue of just getting hit, getting knocked down, and dropping it. whereas that's something that you're never going to get with the bubble shield, which is always going to stay on your back. So yeah, but because I enjoy using it so much, I find it so much fun, and the way it sort of changes up my playstyle and slows me down a bit, really, yeah, I've got to put it high. But that's very much a personal choice there. Then we have our rover. For me, again, we're hitting up a lot of these actually in super tier right now. Dear, I was gonna actually say I'm gonna try my best to have a bit of a spread, but I think the rover's got to go up there for me. It's been a bit disappointed again. I've been fighting bots a lot more recently, and since we've completed the TCS objectives out on the Eastern Front, I've moved back west and back to bot fighting again, which is where I started during those initial defences. I missed the time from 11 Creek. I wasn't there for that, but you know, but I showed up for the main defences not long after. So I've returned wearing my rover, which I've been wearing all the time up against the bugs. Been a little bit disappointed with it. A lot of times I'm just feeling it should be shooting when it's not, but it really just seems to be a bug killing weapon, I feel. And it's when I'm running around and getting chased by bugs, when I'm getting chased by those hunters that are really frustrating everybody, or anything, I can just be fully focused on jumping around, avoiding that charger that's coming at me, finding cover, hiding, whatever I need to do, and that rover is constantly thinning the swarm behind me. And especially when I'm sat there with something like the arc thrower, it means I can just keep shooting at the horde while the rover is dealing with the little small things that are coming around and attacking me from the flanks. So that's, it's got to be in Super Earth tier for me. As I say, maybe not been too effective up against the bots, but you know, that's maybe what the bubble shield is for instead, for those circumstances. Still though, a lot of fun. It makes you feel nice and safe to always have your little guard dog buddy flying just above you. So yeah, can't really fault that little rover boy for, you know, any of his little mistakes. Friendly fire is a bit of an issue with him, but once again, I would suggest just trying to treat it like the arc thrower, trying to treat it like a flamethrower. Stay in front of your allies, and fingers crossed he shouldn't be messing around. You know, he shouldn't be trying to cause trouble. Now, something I've actually realised, this is of course the ballistic shield. This is the guard dog rover, the ballistic version. So remember everything I said about the ballistic shield. This is him. This is the rover, or not the rover, the guard dog with the assault rifle. Unfortunately, I just I'm probably gonna pop him into tier 2. Maybe even tier 1. He might have to drop down to tier 1 later. It's a damn shame, but it is just because he gets totally outshone by the rover. That scythe coming down and just rinsing everything is just a lot more effective than the assault rifle. I think the assault rifle can do a lot more of this sort of quick pulse damage, which I think is perhaps a bit more effective up against the bots at times, but it's using that ammunition is a big issue. And when I really rely on my rover, it's when I've used up my ammo, when I'm darting around and trying to hide from the enemy. That's when my rover is really coming in and saving my ass. And if my rover is sat in my backpack waiting for me to find ammunition, it just aches, certainly does. Then we've got our supply pack. Something, I mean, we used to make a lot of use, me and my friend group, we used to make a lot of use of the supply pack earlier on when we first started, but I don't really feel a massive need for it now. I'll need to have a quick think, but I usually feel that, you know, I can call down supplies quick enough, often enough. There's usually enough, you know, now that I know maps a bit better, I know where to find ammunition when I need it. I would say for me, I think the supply pack's got to be just sort of a flat 3 stars. It's always so appreciated when I do see one of my allies bringing it, and when you do need that little bit of assistance, somebody coming up just giving you a bit more ammunition for that machine gun of yours. But or if you're using something like a recoilless rifle, if you're using the recoilless rifle, for instance, it's great to have somebody come up and rearm you with that. So it can be great, but I really think it's only going to be shining when you're with a team that is using a lot of ammunition. If they're not, it's just not worth it. And you'd probably be better off having another sort of backpack that's pumping out a bit of damage or keeping yourself a bit more safe. But as I say, it's always appreciated to see it, and it's always something that's going to make you well liked when you're jumping into a team. I say the Eagles down here, something that I personally have very little experience with. I've used the napalm bombardment, the rocket pods, but that's only because we've received those as free bonuses during some time periods. So I can't really say too much about this. It's just based on like what I've seen from my allies using them, the effectiveness of that. The 500 kilogram bomb, for me, I think it's in that sort of 4-star category, maybe edging into 5. At the end of this, I'll have a think, and I might sort of do some little fine adjustments after the video's done, and then reveal my final tier list with any changes that have occurred. But I think that the 500 kilogram bomb is definitely solid 4 stars. Can maybe be a little bit unreliable sometimes with the damage you're doing, but a lot of fun to use. Great for just dealing with a big mob of guys. Actually, no, I think I can be safe to put that into the 5, because it's so common to see it taken. I think that maybe it's a little bit overrated, but I still think it's dang good. And you get them coming in quite quick. So no, certainly no problem with it. I think it sort of is a comfortable 5 stars there for me. The standard Eagle Strike is something that I do see people really, really loving. You can take out, bot fabrication sites. You can take out good mobs. You get them so frequently. It's, again, it's got to be something up there. I do worry. I don't want this tier list to become too top heavy, but I think for this one, it's got to be in that 4. The only reason I'm not putting it into 5 is just because it's really struggling when it comes to those big guys, of course, but that's not what it's designed to be taking out. That's why you do have something like the 500 kilogram. Cluster bombs, again, I can't really say the exact amount of damage that some of these weapons are doing because I've never really used them myself. I would say it's probably, see, this is the big decider for me here, is can you use cluster bombs to take out buildings? And as far as I'm aware, you can, but I think the cluster bomb is more for your larger areas, or for your swarms. So again, I'll probably just have to be a bit safe, put it into the 4-star category. Perhaps more like skilled eagle wielders can judge this better. Napalm strikes, that's something that I have used a fair bit of. A lot of fun to use, a hell of a lot of fun to use, but for me, like, fire weapons as they are, just don't seem to pack the serious punch that I'm looking for, or not so much the serious punch, that instant punch, that instant, like, great, everything chasing me is gone. There's a lot of enemies that are going to be able to walk through that napalm without much of an issue, and the big problem for me, because of the area, the massive area that the napalm strike covers in front of you or behind you, you can no longer move through that. These chargers, these heavy bots, they can come just strolling through willy-nilly, but if something happens and I need to run back through that, that's cut off my avenue. If say my ally is maybe panic thrown it, forgotten where I am, he's maybe even cut me off from my team, because I can't just run through that. I can't just duck down, hide from an eagle strike that comes by, and then run through the area that was just exploded. No, it's covered in fire. So that's a bit of an issue for me. Then we've got the rocket pods. That's something that, again, I quite like it. It's something that I was given for free, of course. Again, that's the only time I'm really using eagles. But I think I really feel that it's it's once again sort of just popping into that 3-star category. When I get the rocket pods, I'm kind of just using them to deal with the bigger enemies. It's sort of a quick thing that you could throw down, and it'll hopefully bring down something a bit larger, but it's sort of lacking the punch that a lot of these other sort of big killers are able to achieve. And it doesn't really cover, well, of course it doesn't really cover much of an area. It is that sort of much tighter spacing killer. Smoke. Now, smoke in general is something that I always want to use. I always have an interest in smoke, especially now again that I'm fighting bots once more. But there's always this thing in the back of your head is just like, do I want to blind my enemies or do I want to kill my enemies? And it's, it's not an easy thing to choose. I think smoke can be, like during, of course, the civilian rescuing those scientists, covering those areas in smoke was the only way we could do it sometimes. Because you do just kind of freak out those bots when they sit there in the smoke. But a lot of the time, I'm not really using them when they're maybe meant to be, when I'm, say, fleeing from an enemy, throwing them behind me. So it's tough to say, but I still do think that smoke has its place. I think that, again, probably the Eagle and the Orbital Smoke Strike are going to be pretty similar. I don't really think I want to put them into Unknown. I do think I want to throw them down because I do have some experience with them. But I think for the most part, would I just prefer to Napalm Strike it or would I prefer to Smoke Strike it? To be honest, maybe I prefer to Smoke Strike it. Just because then I'm kind of... Right now it's living in 3 stars. Right now it'll live in 3 stars, we'll see. Strafing Run. Again, I'm a massive fan of the Orbital Gatling Barrage. And I've heard from a lot of people that Strafing Run is basically just the superior for that choice. And again, in reality, I've never used it. I think it's... Am I just going to have to think about it with in terms of the Gatling Barrage? But it's a different sort of weapon. I think, unfortunately, from my understanding, from what I'm seeing when I'm seeing it used, I just feel the Eagle Strike is your better choice. When it's the Gatling Barrage is not really going to be enough to pump, or not the Gatling Barrage, sorry, the Strafing Run is not really enough to get through some of those heavy enemies, so hard to say. But anyway, that's the Eagle's done. That's my kind of messy, I don't know what I'm talking about period, hopefully finished, and we can get back to the stuff that I do know. Something that I do know very well are those expendable ATs, and I really, really love them. For me, it's got to be in super tier. I think it's, they come in super quick. You get 2 of them, you just yeet them down, grab them, fire off at whatever. You shove one of those in the face of a Devastator, great little panic shot, and it's just something to have on your back as you're strolling around. A lot of the time when I'm fighting bots, I'm maybe not relying on a support weapon too much, but you'll find these around, and if you've got somebody in your team with them, they're just calling them in constantly. That's what I'll always do. If I've got an expendable AT, I'll just be throwing them down just about every minute. It's just a constant thing to hopefully kit out the full team, or when we return to an area later on, or if we're running through an area, there's a rocket. You're just giving yourself lots of little treats dotted around the map. That's what I would really encourage people to do with them. Just throw them down all the time. And because you never know when you might need a few of them. And they do really pack a punch. You can take a lot of enemies out with them a lot of enemies can be brought down with 1 strike with them, especially, a Hulk, you get around behind him, bam, finished, nice and quick. But it's, even then, they're still an anti-tank. You can still be clacking them right in the front of an enemy if that's your only choice. So I just think they're great. I just think they're really neat. And it's a fun weapon to share with the group. If I throw down my arc thrower or my anti-material rifle and somebody grabs it, I'm a bit sad about that. But if I throw down my expendable AT, I'm expecting my allies just to grab for it. and just strike at the first issue that's nearby them. That's what they're for. They are to be shared. Then we have back to the sentries. We have our mortar. What's EMS mortar? Yeah. Now this is of course the safe mortar. I really enjoy it. I think it's very fun to use. I like the EMS strikes. I like the EMS sort of effects on enemies. Especially, well, I would say especially the bugs, but even the bots, just seeing the bots like freeze up for a minute can be really, really useful. And it can be nice as well because that sentry is seeing things that you aren't, unless you're checking the minimap, which you should be. Every good Helldiver should be checking that minimap as much as they can. You can be just seeing these little puffs of blue electricity in the distance. You know that there's some enemies that direction. So it's, I mean, for me, I would say it's 5 stars. I think it's, when I see my allies taking them, I'm pretty happy. I'm never worried. Yes, they've been a bit dangerous to me before because, of course, if those EMS strikes are coming in, they're freezing you. Maybe you're still under fire at that time, or there's something nearby that you really need to get away from. And you're just sort of getting stuck. But I really, I'd much rather get frozen by that than I would get blown up by an actual mortar sentry. So all in all, EMS mortar, solid 5 star for me. Happy when my allies take them. Happy to take them myself as well. Now, the mech. The mech there. I really enjoy the mechs. I think they're so much fun to use. I think they're a heck of a lot of fun to use. Since we lost them as a free edition, I've not actually been using them that much. But you know, they are really incredible, and they can pump out a huge amount of damage very, very quickly. They can take a few hits. You've got to be a bit careful with them. There was something I read on the Reddit about, and somebody said, you know, you think of them as a weapons platform, not as like a battle mech. And I really like that idea. And when you do get yourself into the mindset that they are just like an armored weapons platform, you're much more effective with it. Don't treat yourself like you're walking around as you know, Iron Man in a solid metal suit. You are a walking, you know, weapons platform. You just happen to have a few metal plates in front of you. So I really like it, and I think it's got to be in that 5 star category. It's for me. You know, especially when you get 2 of these put down in an extermination mission, or if somebody saved one of these for the extract. Oh my goodness me, I'm always chuffed to bits when I see one of them getting called in from the extract. And then to top it off as a cool little addition, you get the Pelican coming in and blasting down whatever is in front of it or around it with his autocannon too. It's a cool little bonus, quite cinematic, but actually quite effective too, because that is some autocannon strikes coming in from the Pelican. So I think it's got to be number 5. Yes, you can get a little bit of a glitchy kill on yourself now and again. Yeah, the bots are kind of tough to spot and kill, especially when you get a few rocket devastators coming in. They can rinse you real quick, but you've got to just learn, try and retreat from fights, be sure to use cover yourself, and try not to use it on Dropner too much when you can't see anything because of that miss. But luckily we've taken Dropner and we're never going to lose it again, boys. The spear. Spear is a lot of fun again. I personally, again, this is just from my perspective. I don't really like the spear. I don't like anything that really keeps me pinned down. That's why I love the EAT. Just throw that down, you grab it, run around, throw somewhere else, you know. But the spear, you've got lock on, fire it, you're down on the ground while you're reloading it. It's again, it's a backpack weapon, which I'm not a big fan of. I think spear users definitely, because I think a lot of the time a spear user is getting kills and you're not really spotting it because they're happening quite far away. Whereas like some guy that's rolling around with a railgun or an EAT, he's getting those cinematic close range kills, so you're spotting that. It's a lot more like, whoa, yeah, well done, dude. Whereas the spear user, he's dealing with these guys when they're still quite a distance off. And it's nice, you know, you can just be rolling around, blast those fabrication sites from a million miles away as you're walking past them. But as I say, it is limiting. Once again, I'm just trying to make sure I'm not too top heavy. I've not put anything into the bottom tier yet, so but the spear is definitely not going in the bottom tier. I was thinking about, right now I'm hovering between 3 and 4 stars, but to be honest, I've got the autocannon in 4 stars, so I think that's the issue for me. As much as I love the spear, and as much as I'm appreciating these spear kills here and there, I've seen people do a lot more work with the autocannon than the spear. Incendiary mines. Okay, maybe because there's nothing in there right now, I think unfortunately incendiary mines have to go there. Incendiary mines down there primarily just because I don't think they pack the punch to really kill a lot of these enemy units. The fire damage is something that, yeah, that area is going to be a bit fiery after, but once again, that's a big issue for me. A minefield, I can walk around a minefield. I can't really walk through a field of fire. So perhaps maybe I'm being a bit cruel here and just, wanting something to be in 1 star. I wouldn't hate putting it up to 2 star, but for now, I think the incendiary mines are probably down there for me. I worry when I see my allies take incendiary mines. I worry when I see my allies take mines, especially if it's a group of randoms. I don't know where they're going to be popping those guys. Have to be a bit careful with that. But for now, yeah, the incendiary mines are down there. Then flamethrower. Now I love flamethrower. I did before the buffs. And now that it's actually very, very damaging, I really, really like it. Something I say this to the boys a lot, like something that definitely happens to the voice actors when they've been given flamethrowers. You really get some of the best lines from them, and it's a lot of fun to use it. Of course, bug killer, not really a bot killer. Maybe with that increased damage, I've been able to kill I've been able to kill bots with it a bit, but it's definitely for bug killing. The buff was massive, 50% increase in damage from what it was before. I knew it was going to get buffed. I didn't realize it was going to be that much of a buff. I would personally, have liked it to maybe a slightly different sort of buff, but we'll maybe talk about that another time. Still, for me, because of how enjoyable it is to use it, it's got to be a 4-star weapon for me. And you can be very, very, very effective with it, especially now that it's been buffed. People can be rinsing down chargers, killing blooming bile titans as well with it, I've seen. That's a bit beyond my ability with it. I'm still just swarm killing with it. The only reason it's sort of down here and not saying the 5 stars is just because if I'm under stress, I'd much prefer an arc thrower instead of the flamethrower. But I say it's got to be 4 stars just because of that entertainment factor for me. And again, because of that effectiveness. And if you've got the rover to deal with those close range threats as you're blasting away with your flamethrower, yeah, absolutely super duper. Gatling Sentry, shoot, again, blooming hell, we're getting way too top heavy here, but I do love the Gatling Sentry. It's just, yeah, I mean, of course, up against anything with a bit of armor, it's not really going to be what you want. But, well, with, heavy armor, of course, it's not going to be really worth much, but it still is going to just blitz down the lighter enemies. If you're taking it in tandem with the autocannon, it's super duper, because the Gatling is just going to be rinsing down anything small, making sure that the autocannon's saving its ammunition for the big guys, saving its attention for the big guys, being able to bring them down quickly. So yeah, no, I think autocannon, well, no, sorry, not autocannon, I think Gatling's got to be up there. It's got to be in the 5-star category. I as soon as I unlocked it, as I say, I was a big Sentry guy, so as soon as I unlocked it, it was part of my equipment, and I just kept taking it until I was about level 30. It was always with me. Then grenade launcher, not the autocannon, the grenade launcher. I think, shoot, once again, it's got to be up there in the 4-star category. Yeah, it's not going to be sort of bringing down those big things too quick, but it's so effective up against, if you're dealing with bug holes, like, you'll almost always see somebody take one of these in a blitz. if you're going through dealing with heaps of bug holes, you can just run through. I've seen some of my friends, as I say, it's a bit beyond my abilities, but I've seen some of my friends run headfirst into a heavy bug nest with a grenade launcher and just run through it and just bring down every single hole and get out of there. It's stunning. Definitely very stunning to see that, and as I say, good to deal with the big groups of them. And up against the bots, it's really quite super as well. Of course, you can blast, if you can't really get through the top vents of the fabrication site, just blitz it through the door. That's a lot easier. But dealing with sort of big mobs of bots, berserkers, it's just great for that. And you're dealing that good sort of area of effect damage. I really like the Plasma Punisher. It kind of has a little bit of a grenade launcher feel to it, of course. It's unlimited ammo, and it's very different. Not unlimited ammo, sorry. But yeah, it's lot of fun. I think the grenade launcher it's got to be 4 stars again because of its effectiveness as well. Recoilless rifle. Now, for me, the dream with a recoilless is always for it to be a squad-based weapon. You know, if you've got somebody reloading the recoilless rifle, it's so messy. Like I feel it's more I would say that pretty fairly. Maybe the spear can be absolutely devastating, but I think if you've got a squad reloaded recoilless rifle, every big guy in front of you is getting absolutely blitzed. My dream would be that, and I really hope that they do it at some point. I want to be able to have my recoilless rifle and my backpack, and for somebody to be able to reload me from my own backpack. I've seen a lot of people talking about that. I don't see why we can't have that. You know, maybe there is something to do with the coding that's a bit strange. I've never made a game. I don't understand it, I'm afraid. But I really hope it's something that we can do, because then I'd happily go and reload somebody. I just don't want to ditch my rover and constantly stay near them. You know, it's a bit of a shame. But I think as a whole, is it 4 or 5 stars? I think, I think it's sort of got to be 5 stars, just because as much as I love the expendable AT, sometimes like it's been a bit of a panic. I've not been able to call them in as much as I want to, or there is an enemy that's needing more than 2 shots, or there is some sort of planetary effect that's causing the cooldowns to increase, or some sort of issue like that. You know, so having something that is really beefy, really good sort of heavy hitting weapon, that you've got a good bit more ammunition for is just super. Emplacement gun. For me, it's so situational, but it's so situational. I'll put it in 2 stars, I think. On Exterminate, you know, why not? Take it. It's a good bit of fun. But even on Exterminate, I'd probably prefer to just take another Sentry or something, because you're not really pumping out more damage than a Sentry is. You're trapped, you're stuck there, and mobility is just so important in Helldivers. Especially, you know, like a Bile Titan or something, you need to get the hell out of the way of that. Chargers sort of blasting it down. Nah, it's 2 stars for me. Like, but it's so much fun to use. That's probably what's lifting it up from the 1-star category. Laser cannon. Again, this is me being a little bit, man, because I like using the laser cannon. I like being Mr. Laser. I used to have my scythe, my rover, my laser cannon. That's how I used to roll into bot killing situations back in the day. I really, back in the day, I mean a month ago, I really enjoyed it. The laser cannon was buffed, but as I said before, I'm not a very accurate guy. I do struggle with that. That's why, of course, I gravitate to things like the arc thrower. You don't have to worry about accuracy as much. I think if you are very accurate, and if I see somebody taking the laser cannon, I'm either thinking, okay, mate, yeah, you're going to be devastating with that, or you're just messing around. For me, it's usually I'm just messing around, but some people, especially of course with the changes to charges and so on, you can absolutely rip those bugs apart. I think for now though it's 3 stars. I feel weird putting on the same tier as a spear though is the thing. I'm going to put it there just because, as I say, how effective I've seen other people be with it and how effective I know you can be with it. My dream again with the laser cannon is that we get some sort of damage or ability buff as it heats up. Nothing drastic, but just something a little bit so that you can start to really see some damage go into these bigger, nastier creatures. Would be really nice. Jetpack. I don't know. No, I feel cruel putting it down there because it is fun to use. For me, I actually use spacebar as my dive. I don't like my dive being alt. I want my dive being a bigger key that I can slam in a bit of panic. So I moved it to the spacebar, which means I can't use the jetpacks because currently we can't change our jetpack key. It's stuck on spacebar. One day we maybe can. I would probably change it to V or something so that I could get some use out of it. Awesome for accessing those tough to reach spots, covering a lot of ground. Those those scientist evac missions were awesome, just jumping around with it, pressing every button. But I think for right now, I really think it is still just a bit of a flair thing. It's a backpack. It's not a main. It's not a support weapon. It's a backpack. Right now it's between 2 and 3. Again, because I'm not really wanting to fill up 3 right now, it's gonna stay in 2. But it is a bit of a flair. It's. No, we're doing that. It's a bit of a flair. So then, Stalwart. Stalwart is the strongest primary weapon in the game. No, it sounds a bit silly to say that, but I like it. It's a lot of fun, but for me, I don't know. For me, I'm more of a machine gun guy. Great thing about the Stalwart, of course, I can be reloading it while I'm moving. Everybody knows this. Everybody in the world knows this now, but you can change the rate of fire for the Stalwart, so you can really rattle hits out, blitz some people down, really, buzzsaw the bots to pieces. For me though, it's just there's a lot of times where I'm just like, I want my support weapon to be something a little bit more messy, and the Stalwart just feels like a really, really beefed up primary. Definitely worth for some people, but it's just not something that I've made use of. So for that, unfortunately, oh gosh, that's going to upset people. I know that's going to upset people. Let's be a little bit bold. Let's be a little bit crazy, huh? So I'll put my Stalwart into 2 stars. Machine gun. Machine gun, because you've got that medium armor penetration. I know a lot of people, they like to use the machine gun, the Stalwart up against the bugs. For me, I really like to use the machine gun up against bots. I just find it really satisfying, but I think that's probably machine gun. You got the machine gun straight away. And for me, I went up against bots right away. So I was my little level 1 cadet, rolling up with my machine gun, blasting bots. And that's now a core memory, I think. Breaking down berserkers and devastators with my machine gun is always something I'm going to appreciate. Big issue for it though is just the grounded reload. With the Stalwart, with a lot of support weapons, I can be running away from the enemy, I can be reloading. With that, the machine gun, as soon as I stop shooting them, they're going to be gaining ground on me, they're going to be coming on me pretty quick. And if I'm kneeling down as I'm messing about with this reload, it's a bit scary. So I still, I think I've got to put this into 3 stars, but it's something that I think can definitely be effective in the higher difficulties. I do see it used in the higher difficulties, but for me, I'm using the arc thrower. For just about anything that I can do with a machine gun, I would prefer to have the arc thrower, apart from maybe, swarms of bots or something like that. Then, another machine gun, the machine gun sentry. Now, unfortunately, as much as I used them a hell of a lot. I loved it back in the day. I used to be a massive sentry guy. But for now, the Gatling is just... Why would I take the only reason I would take the machine gun is if I wanted 2 Gatlings. That's kind of it. I would love the machine gun. I would love something to be done with the machine gun. Maybe it could be called in a little bit more frequently than the other sentries. You know, even if I could call it in like 30 seconds faster or 20 seconds faster, that would be a big, like, that would be something that makes me genuinely think, okay, cool, this could be my panic weapon. You know, the Gatling is when I'm really wanting to dig in, but if I'm thinking I'm going to be running around and getting panic, then yeah, I maybe can always rely on the machine gun sentry, so or rely on it a bit more. So I think as it stands right now, unfortunately, I'm putting that in 1 star. But that's not to say I don't use it, but that's just to say, like, I really feel there's better choices. The standard mines. Right, it's either 2 or 3. I prefer them, of course, to the incendiary mines, but you're still you're cutting off an area, you're cutting off movement, which we need to move more than the enemy does. We need escape routes, and yes, of course, I'm throwing these down where the enemy's going to be coming from, which is not where you're running to anyway. Covers a big area. It does really cover quite an area. With those mines, it'll slow down bots a lot, and it'll kill a lot of bugs. But I just feel, again, I'd maybe just prefer to hold on to some sort of, you know, Gatling strike instead. You know, and just use that when I see the enemy coming down. So for me, it's 2 stars. Stationary things nowadays, because I'm very movement based now. I don't like to hold in one position. Anything that makes me do that is something I tend not to love. Rocket sentry, kind of. I mean, in some of the same ways as the machine gun sentry, as the Gatling, I think the rocket sentry is to the autocannon. I'm going to sort of be popping them down into the 2 stars, just because I think everything the rocket does, the autocannon just does better. I know that the rocket is meant to, I think on paper, it's meant to be the really heavy killer, but I just don't see it do that a lot, and the back blast can be a bit of a pain in the ass. You know, you're not just worried about the front of it, you're worried about the back of it too. You know, if you're running around, and I like the back blast, I don't want that removed, of course. I'm not saying that, but it's fun to have, and again, if I'm going full on defensive for a day, I'll probably take it, but I'm taking the autocannon first. That's for sure. Mortar. Mortar it can do. I've got to put into 3. I have to, because of the sheer killing power of the mortar. You're not just killing the enemy though; you're killing your friends. I only take the mortar when I'm playing with guys that I know, when I'm playing with guys that I'm communicating with. Because I'll put down my mortar, I'll make sure everybody is aware that I have done so, because we need to know where we're standing. We need to be careful about our distance to the enemy. With that mortar, especially up against bots that are approaching you a little bit slower than bugs most of the time, that mortar is going to be bringing them down in droves, and it is going to deal damage to the big units too. I've seen tanks go down to mortar fire. It's really awesome, you know. So this thing is accurate. You just have to make sure that none of your friends are around these enemies. You're not picking its targets, of course. It's going for whatever it really wants. I don't really know how it decides its targets, but yeah. So I think the mortar sentry is a good shout. The only thing that I wish with it is, because I think a lot of newer guys, you know, they pick the mortar and they see how many kills they're getting and they think, wow, I'm doing amazing. I'm getting so many kills with this sentry. I love it. That's how I was. I was so shocked at just how many kills I was getting with the mortar sentry. I wish though, you just got a little notice, your mortar sentry has just killed X. Or, you know, because you don't notice when I shoot somebody and my arc thrower catches them and I end up bringing them down like that, I know that I've just killed you. If my mortar sentry kills you, I don't know. You've died, yeah, sure. You've gotten eaten by a bug or something like that. I don't know what happened, but in reality, my mortar just blasted you open. So it is a great killer, but you just need to be coordinated. In certain circumstances, absolutely, it can be 5 stars, but overall, when I see the mortar get taken by my allies, if I don't know them, I'm getting very worried. Especially as a little arc thrower guy, I'm close to the enemy. Or a flamethrower, Lord forbid, I'm very close to the enemy. Anyway, down here we've got, it's the 380 and the 120? I think so. Either way, the big blaster, the small blaster. Small blaster first. I've been using this a lot up against bugs. I've been using this a heck of a lot up against bugs because these little shots, these little shells, they do close bug holes. They close them pretty quick and pretty nice. You get a lot of them. They blast for quite a long time. It's not a very large area that they're firing down on, so you're not really worried about, you know, friendly fire, of course. There was a massive buff to both of these. If anybody used them back in the day, you'll know just how wide the 380 used to go. Lord, that was terrible. You had to throw the 380 and then run. It was just not good, and it wouldn't kill anything because it was just such a wide range. But no, now they are very worthwhile. I think they are very solid to take, but not for really defensive actions, just for like striking down, you know, bases and so on. I did actually recently have a bloody scientist evac. The host of the game decided, it was a random person, but the host of the game decided to take his 380s and just throw them right into the middle of the base every time. It was a bit frustrating. We made it through, but Lord, he was racking up the team kills. It was a bit messy. So the two of them, I'm sort of speaking about them together. But I think for me, I would say the 380 is 4 stars. I'd say the 120 is 3. I think you can use the 120. I have used it as enemies are approaching you. You can kind of use it as, in a way, the same way that I'm going to be talking about using the Gatling barrage. You can kind of use that as like a very big Gatling barrage. But I think the 380's ability to just cleanse bases is very nice. Up against some of these very, very well defended bot bases, it's great to just run up behind them, throw a 380, chill out for a little while, and then come in. Or throw a 380 into a base, go deal with something, and then come back later. And maybe the 380's already sort of dealt with half the base. Could be. Whereas the 120 is dealing with bug holes, you know. Airburst. I like it a lot. I say I like it a lot, I'm probably about to put it quite low. For me, yeah, okay. I'm putting it down there, mainly just because of the enemies that the 380 is killing are quite light. It's not really killing the heavier armored guys, and I can kill the light enemies. I tend to take, I'm taking the arc thrower. I keep talking about the arc thrower, but I love it. I'm taking lighter weapons. I'm not taking these heavy killing weapons. So I need my stratagems to be able to kill those heavy enemies that I can't. And the airburst just can't really do that. Also, the airburst can certainly kill us. It's got quite a wide range, a deceptively wide range, because when that thing blasts, it creates this cone around it with every shot. So it's a big issue if you're not ready for that. So I still do take it now and again, but for me, really, I prefer the Gatling. I much prefer the Gatling. EMS Strike. EMS Strike, back when I first bought the game, we had, we had it for like 4 days. Everybody had free EMS Strike, experimental weapon practice or something like that. So everybody had EMS Strikes. Those were good days. Everybody was using them. Nobody was reaching us in melee. It was a glorious time. Since then, I've not used EMS Strike once. No, I think I've taken them once or twice, but really, really rarely. Which is a shame because they're so quick to call in. The cooldown time is very short. big area slowdown. I really should use EMS strikes, but once again, same as the smoke, my brain just goes to this place of like, what do I want to blind them or do I want to kill them? EMS is, do I want to slow them down or do I want to kill them? I guess the opposite of the, of course, the EMS mortar. I'm struggling to put it low though, just because I know how effective it can be if you actually use it. I think for me it's got to be 3. I'm okay with us being like middle heavy. I don't mind a barrel. I don't mind if this ends up as a bit of a barrel. But yeah, EMS strike has got to go there for now. Gas. Gas. Oh dear. I love the gas. I really like gas strikes. Tiny cooldown. You can use them to blow up bug holes. You can use them to take down a lot of different things. I really enjoy them. They're fun to use, but it doesn't seem as effective as it used to. I think now that I tend to play on much higher difficulties, it just doesn't seem to get the job done. I mean, it's killing maybe the smaller bugs. It's burning some of the bigger, creatures and the bigger bots, but oh man, I just don't seem to really get the effect that I used to get from it. So no, I think I've got to pop them down in 2 stars. I still love them and I still use it. I do still use it, but I just don't know if it's been like subtly nerfed or if just my playstyle doesn't match anymore. So it still has a place in my heart, but no, I don't really use it. Gatling Barrage. Now, okay, Gatling Barrage for me, it's 4. I'm not going to put it in 5. It's not 5. I use the Gatling Barrage to hold enemies back. That's my thing, because it's got quite a long period of time. Unlike the Strafing Strike, which is just sort of passing over a long space, the Gatling Barrage has got like a circle that is coming down on top of. And this is why I mentioned it when I was talking about mines. Say if there's a choke point that I know the enemies are coming through, I use the Gatling Barrage as area denial, which is a little bit crazy maybe, but that's what I use it for. And it keeps those enemies back, and it's got the punch to not bring down the larger enemies, of course, but deal a bit of a nick to them. Then Heavy Laser. So you only get 3 uses. You only get 3 uses of the Heavy Laser, but gosh, they are glorious uses. I think the Heavy Laser's got to be up into the 5-star category. I think a lot of people would view it as super. I think a lot of people will have the Heavy Laser as super tier. For me though, just because of the way my brain works, I see 3 uses for something, I'll end up using it once in the mission. Just because I tend to be so I don't want to say careful with these things. I hoard my uses really badly. So I will always take this on, say, like an extermination or a blitz, something very quick where, heck, I'm going to struggle to get 3 uses out of it. But taking it to, a big 40-minute mission, yeah, like I know I'm going to get through those 3 uses. Now, I've probably done twice as much damage with those 3 uses as I would have throughout the entire game with my Gatling Strike. But still, it's because you can deal with the big things, you can deal with the small things. It shouldn't get much friendly fire because your allies can see it coming. I have died to it a few times, but that's primarily just me being a bit silly. So yeah, it's very good. It's a clear 5 stars for me, but I think most people would have it in super tier. I almost always see people taking it. Precision Strike. Now, I remember when I first started the game, I was saying to my friends, and a lot of my friends were saying to me, that they're always going to take the Precision Strike. They couldn't really see past it. And when we were little level 5s and 10s, or yeah, like even up until like level 15, I think I always had the Precision Strike. Even for like defensive situations, because you just chuck the precision strike below a drop pod, well not drop pod, a drop ship, and you're golden. So I still use it a bit. And I think maybe it was the gas strike. I think maybe it was using the gas strike kind of removed the desire for the orbital strike for me, or the precision strike. It's hard to say, but I see the worth in it, and I think it's got to be up into the 4 stars. You know, because you can just throw it down. You do get it quite frequently. Comes back pretty quickly, so you can throw it down on enemies. You can throw it down on buildings. You can deal with big creatures with it as well. You know, tanks. Yeah, of course, amazing tank killer. But so I think for me, I've got to put it there. And this is again probably going to upset people. Railgun strike or rail cannon strike up on super tier for me. It's almost a guarantee that I'm going to take the rail cannon strike. Whenever I'm running around, whatever I'm doing, I'm throwing down rail cannons. Yeah, there's a big gap between shots. Yeah, you can't guarantee it's going to kill that Titan in one hit, but no, I'm happy with it. It's I can just be running away from something. I'm running away from some Hulks, chuck it behind me. I know something's dying. Big base that I've got no vision of, chuck it in there. I know something big is dying. Problem, of course, though, I can't choose what that is. Sometimes I've thrown it into a small base as I've been running by, hoping that it'll destroy the fabrication site, but no, it decides to dome a Devastator. And I'm just bit of a shame sometimes, but still, you know, it's good that it prioritizes those threats to me rather than, you know, objectives. But yeah, so I like it. I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun to use, and it's a good sort of just saving you type weapon that you can just chuck right next to you, and it can save your life. And you know it's not going to kill you either. So yeah, or it's not going to kill your friends too. Say even if that charger is mounted your friend, you can still chuck that down. It shouldn't kill him. It should save his life. Smoke strike again. I put the last smoke into 3. This is partly, I mean, I shouldn't put the next smoke in 4. I've got to just put this smoke in 3 as well. Just, I kind of already talked about my smoke viewpoints. I do want to get into the habit of using them a bit more, but for now, yeah, just in the 3. Creeping Barrage. One of my friends used to use Creeping Barrage all the damn time. Now he doesn't really use it at all. I think he doesn't really use it at all because the 380 has in his mind sort of replaced it. The Creeping Barrage, or I think they call it Walking Barrage in this, I would never recommend using it the way that it sort of is described. Maybe it can actually be used for that, and it can actually be quite effective to use it as a way to like push the enemy back. But I would probably prefer just push the enemy back with other stratagems. I genuinely think your best bet with the Creeping Barrage is to use it as a base clearing weapon. You know, the same way as you would use the 380 now, we used to go up to the edge of a base, chuck down the Walking Barrage, pull back a little bit, and just let the Creeping Barrage go across the base. And a lot of these robot bases were quite sort of rectangular. If you caught the right angle, that thing is just going to creep forward in a really beautiful way. But as I see now, I think it's probably just been a little bit outdone by the 380. Maybe it's 2 now, really, because I would always take the 380 rather than the Creeping Barrage now. Railgun, of course, as I said before, I can't really aim. Railgun has been nerfed a bit since the glory days. It still is very effective though. I think it got. I don't want to get the hate train rolling. I think a lot of people got a little bit crazy about the nerfs, and they felt that it was a world-ending nerf. But no, I still think it's really quite powerful. Just not quite what it used to be. But even for me, even in its old way, for me, it just was. I can't really shoot well enough with it. Just can't really land those weak point shots that you need to make the railgun work for you. I think no matter what though, it's got to be a 4-star weapon, maybe even 5 stars to be honest. No, because I don't want to put it above the autocannon. I think for me it's 4 stars. I'm pretty comfortable with that. I prefer the anti-material rifle, and I think I generally prefer, I think most of my friends do, just because you can pump out shots a bit faster. You know, ammo is a bit easier to come by, and there isn't that risk of blowing yourself up. That's always the thing. Shield pack. Shield pack is, I mean, for me, what have I got? Yeah, I mean, I put the ballistic shield there. I've really got to put the shield pack at number 5. I still prefer my rover friend, but when I've been fighting bots recently, I've been using the shield pack. I wouldn't use the shield back up against bugs. I know a lot of people do, and I have had a few limbs saved by the shield pack when I've been fighting the vile Terminative fascists, but I think it's really a bot thing. Then big shield dome. I enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun to use. I use it a lot when I'm coordinating with my team a bit. I'll use it. It was quite nice when we were sort of evacuating scientists to shove that down, say at at one of the sort of the evac sites, just to give the boys a little bit of shelter. Or when we're evacing ourselves, it can always be pretty great. I know a lot of people were actually using them like as weapons to like bring down Bio Titans and stuff, just with the pod itself, because they've got quite a fast cooldown, which I think is quite cool, quite a quirky concept. Oh God, I don't want to put another thing at number 3. I genuinely think that I genuinely think it's got a number 4 spot. I think it's pretty fair to be a 4-star up there. Then Tesla Tower. Being an Arc man, I do like my electricity. I find the Tesla Tower to be a lot of fun to use, once more. But you need a team that you know is going to be clever, and that's tough. And you need to be communicating where you've thrown it. I've seen my allies throw Tesla Towers in very silly places, sort of hiding just behind corners that we need to walk past, or as I say, out of sight in some way. It's a right pain, because it is a quick kill when this thing comes at you, so you do have to be pretty wary of it. So when one of my allies takes this, I do get a little bit of a fear. But generally, yeah, I think you can get some tremendous kills with it though. And I tend to just sort of throw it off really quite far away from us, or bind us at choke points that we are not going to be returning to anytime soon. I think a lot of people developed a big love for it during the Termicide missions, but they were, as I say, they would just position it in inappropriate places. So all in all, I think I'm probably, I'm gonna put the mortar there. I think this is a 3-star. I think that's a 3-star. It would be, yeah, I'd struggle to push it any higher than that, and just because of its sheer effectiveness, I don't want to push it lower. So with that, I think I'm pretty happy with that. This is just meant to be kind of my first run through with one of these. I think 6 months time, maybe I'll come back and I'll do a bit more of a thorough one where I've actually sort of planned these out a bit and I've gotten a better feel for it. But this is kind of, after playing Helldivers for about a month, a little over a month now, this is what I feel. So yeah, cool. I don't think there's much more to say. I didn't actually have anything on unknown. I think I'm pretty comfortable with everything to slot them in. But please, I'll pop the tier maker in the description. As always with these, I really appreciate any, you guys posting up what you think. And, if you want, just send me a screenshot and I'll pop it into the description. I'd really appreciate that. I always like to do that thing. And yeah, cool. So thank you guys very much, and I will see you later.